Hello friends, welcome to Star Explainer. Tales of Herding Gods Part 357 and 358 explains based on novel. So let's start explanation. Yang Qiling's heart turned cold. She had forgotten about Celestial Emperor's blessing at the back of her head and carelessly spoke her true feelings. Although the second soul of Celestial Emperor was rushing back to the celestial heavens to merge with its souls and wouldn't have time to monitor her, nothing was certain. If her true feelings were heard by the ancient Celestial Emperor, she would be in trouble. Qin Mu retracted his finger. Previously, he had spent a lot of effort removing Celestial Venerable Yu's blessings of the ancient gods. He invited many experts to Eternal Peace's capital city, and finally broke the blessings. Hence, Celestial Emperor's blessing wasn't something unfamiliar to him. Also, the Guardian Pavilion possessed runes of the Great Tao of Celestial Emperor, which deepened his knowledge of Celestial Emperor's blessing. He didn't remove Celestial Emperor's blessing from Yang Qiling. Rather, he corrupted it, which prevented Celestial Emperor from eavesdropping on their conversation. This was similar to how Woodcutter broke Mother Earth's blessing for Qin Mu at Eternal Peace's capital city. Thank you. Yang Qiling revealed a smile. At times, you are gentle, but at other times, you are detestable. Qin Mu smiled faintly and took her words as a compliment. Yang Qiling continued, I realized my master is heartless. I believe that my relationship with him isn't important to him. That is why I spoke for you at Heavenly Yin World. Helping you is also helping myself. Qin Mu took a moment of silence before saying, in that case, your master's wife. Yang Qiling shuddered. After some time, she said, the temporary imperial residence of my master's wife is right ahead. Yang retracted her wings and landed. As soon as they landed, Yang Qiling leaped off and said, Celestial Venerable Mu, would you like to go in with me? Qin Mu hesitated for a moment before nodding, leaving the dragon Qilin and Yang behind. As this was Eternal Peace's only chance, he had to be involved in order to prevent any missteps. The two walked towards the new Mother Earth's temporary imperial residence, which should have been built recently. It was guarded by many half-gods. Presumably, they had been recruited by the new Mother Earth. The effects of the unsealing of the primordial realm had been severe. The real Mother Earth didn't dare to reveal herself. She had been withered down to one remaining Earth soul, and her body, the primordial tree, had been taken by the Heaven Alliance to develop the new Mother Earth. Since Mother Earth was without her body, her influence over the half-gods wasn't as strong as the new Mother Earth. Although she still had her loyal supporters, in terms of momentum, she was incomparable to the new Mother Earth. The half-gods, upon seeing Yang Qiling and Qin Mu, looked surprised but kept silent. Upon reaching Mother Earth's imperial residence, Yang Qiling kneeled in front of her and said, my master's wife. Although the new Mother Earth looked exactly the same as Mother Earth, she lacked her overbearing aggressiveness. Instead, she was gentle. Quick, stand up. Why are you greeting me in such a grand manner? Your master may have such rules, but I don't. She was surprised to see Qin Mu. Celestial Venerable Mu. Why are you two together? The last I heard, you said you were defeated by him and planned to seek revenge. Qin Mu bowed and said, Qin Mu greets Mother Earth. The new Mother Earth laughed. You are Celestial Venerable Mu. There is no need to stand on ceremony. You made a fool of my husband by giving his blessing to a wild black boar. He was furious and cursed you for a long time. She was unable to contain her laughter. When she realized that Yang Qiling was still kneeling, she said, Yanzi, quickly stand up. Celestial Venerable Mu is here. Seeing this, he might think that I'm mistreating you. Yang Qiling lowered her head, both hands holding out the mirror Celestial Emperor gave her. Master has returned back to the celestial heavens. This gift is from him. He has gone back. The new Mother Earth accepted the mirror. Her celestial Venerable Mu helped him reconstruct his souls. It looks like they have reconciled. This is good. Her gaze fell upon the mirror, and she was unable to pull away. Yang Qiling collapsed to the ground crying. Master wanted me to give you this mirror. I knew the consequences, but I did it anyway. My master's wife, please put me to death. The new Mother Earth raised her head, her eyes flustered, and her face drained of color. This isn't your fault, Yanzi. This isn't your fault. She gently stroked Yang Qiling's head, her hands turning into green smoke. This isn't your fault. You had no choice. She then turned to Qin Mu and smiled. Celestial Venerable Mu, please take good care of her. Her body dissolved into green smoke and was sucked into the mirror. The mirror then fell onto the ground, spun twice, and stopped at Qin Mu's feet. Qin Mu picked up the mirror. Within it was a lush primordial tree. This primordial tree was the new Mother Earth's underlying body, and also Mother Earth's true body. During the final years of the High Emperor era, the Heaven Alliance eliminated Mother Earth and brought the primordial tree to the celestial heavens. Celestial Emperor used the primordial tree to cultivate another living being. That living being was the new Mother Earth. He then took her as his wife. As Celestial Emperor was able to create her, he could also destroy her. Now, the new Mother Earth was destroyed, and the primordial tree was returned. Don't worry. Qin Mu muttered, don't worry. I can't promise you anything, but I promise to take care of her to the best of my abilities. Yang Qiling remained on the ground crying while Qin Mu tried to lift her up. I have matters to attend to. Do you want to come with me? Yang Qiling didn't get up, so Qin Mu headed outside. He was in a hurry and had no time to waste. He left the temporary imperial residence and got on Yang's back. He was about to leave when he saw Yang Qiling walking out. She was back to her normal self. Let me come with you. Qin Mu nodded lightly. I need a flat place where it will be convenient to perform spells and summon Mother Earth from the ground. I know of such a place. Yang Qiling showed no signs of sadness. The flatlands where the celestial rivers gathered. Let me lead the way. A short time later, they reached the flatlands. Around them was nothing but lush forest. Yang landed in the middle of the flatlands, and Qin Mu got off and told them to fall back. The further, the better. They complied, leaving Qin Mu alone. Qin Mu took out the mirror and placed it on the ground. Then, he unsheathed the carefree sword, raised it high, and stabbed the mirror with it. Ding! The carefree sword pierced the mirror's surface, causing multiple cracks to appear. Qin Mu quickly leaped back as the mirror shattered. From where the mirror was, the surrounding air vibrated as the primordial tree sprouted. It grew taller and larger, splitting the ground around it. The primordial tree quickly grew to 10,000 feet, without showing signs of stopping. The trunk of the gigantic tree was getting thicker, as fissures of fire and thunder appeared. The scene was simply terrifying. Qin Mu jumped back with his sword, escaping the fissures before they reached him. Suddenly, a gate of heaven influence appeared behind him, followed by a mysterious language being emitted from his mouth, calling the soul fragments of the primordial tree. Black sand swirled and rushed towards the primordial tree, as he used it to summon the soul of Mother Earth. The primordial realm felt like it was boiling over. The ground shook, and the mountains swayed. The earth rose as though there were countless dragons burrowing towards the primordial tree. Soon, gigantic black mountain ranges rose from the ground. They were the roots of Mother Earth. Her roots looked like towering mountains. From afar, their movements seemed like dragons dancing, a frightening yet magnificent sight. Qin Mu had alerted Mother Earth's last remaining soul. She sensed Qin Mu and the primordial tree's location and flew towards it. Within the center of the primordial realm, Celestial Venerable Yu was alerted as well and flew towards the location. Accompanying him were countless ships of the Celestial Armada filled with celestial soldiers and generals, banners fluttering in the air. The sounds of their war drums were deafening, like great floods covering the land. Mother Earth, if you wish to be resurrected to your peak condition, you have to pay the price. Qin Mu circled the primordial tree as it continued to grow. The tree crown was almost touching the sky. Qin Mu transformed into his three-headed and six-armed form and quickened the pace of the spell. He shouted, "I can bring you back to life, but before that, you have to help me deal with Celestial Venerable Yu." Below the ground, the roots joined with the trunk, making the primordial tree even bigger and taller. The tree crown covered miles of ground. It felt as if the flatlands were unable to accommodate such a big tree. Mother Earth's voice roared from beneath the land, her tone one of infinite joy. It made the land resonate like behemoths roaring in unison. "Celestial Venerable Mu, you have finally come to fulfill your promise." "What Celestial Venerable Yu?" "The real Celestial Venerable Yu is beside you. This particular Celestial Venerable Yu is only a weapon created by the celestial heavens. How dare he attack me? My children, now is the time for you to show yourselves." Boom, boom, boom. All around the primordial tree, many gigantic emperors' coffins broke through the earth. Rows of stone beasts appeared in front of them. These stone beasts then shed their stone skin, transforming into the flesh forms of qilins, lions, camels, horses, white elephants, and THG half-gods. They roared with anger and rage. These half-gods used to be important ministers in the celestial heavens during the time of North High Emperor. They were immensely powerful. One by one, they grabbed a coffin and frantically broke open its seal. 8 emperors' coffins had been opened. The awe of an emperor and decay surged forth and swept across the surroundings. There were 14 celestial emperors in the North High Emperor celestial heavens, and all of them were Mother Earth's offspring. All of these celestial emperors were on the Emperor's throne realm. 5 were killed during the battle with the South High Emperor celestial heavens and their corpses destroyed. Another one was taken onto the ghost ship by Feng Chirian and went missing. The High Emperor era was a time of chaos, but also a time where strong practitioners emerged. During that era, North High Emperor and South High Emperor each had their celestial heavens and a powerful emperor. During the battle between the two celestial heavens, countless divine beings had fought for their races, turning their enemies into hardened soldiers, or their flesh into sacrificial offerings. The North High Emperor celestial heavens was the most brutal. Crimson Light Son of God led his people to hide in the Crimson Light floating world. During the High Emperor era, he dared not make contact with the High Emperor celestial heavens, as he had seen the brutality of that era. At this moment, the corpses of the remaining 8 High Emperors awakened and transformed into corpse demons. They flew up into the sky and waited, preparing to meet the celestial heaven's strongest weapon, Celestial Venerable Yu. Toot toot. There were plenty of flags fluttering in the sky. Countless gods of the celestial heavens were blowing their battle horns, which were made from the horns of giant beasts. They dropped down from the ships, roaring loudly. There were gods at the bows of the ships beating their drums, which were made from dragon skin. The noise was ear-shattering, shaking the heavens and earth. Celestial Venerable Yu approached, and the ships surrounding him seemed like tiny worms. In reality, these ships were the finest products of celestial workmanship. Each ship was humongous and measured over 10 miles. Except, compared to him, they were insignificant. Likewise, the 8 corpse demons were nothing compared to him. Although the 8 High Emperors were all offspring of Mother Earth, they were of different races. One was born when Mother Earth experienced the pulse of the ancestral dragon in the land of the primordial realm. He had the head of a dragon and the body of a man, and was honored as High Emperor Longxi. One was born when Mother Earth experienced the air. She had the head of a phoenix and a human body with a pair of wings. She was honored as High Emperor Fengyu. One was born when Mother Earth experienced the celestial river. He had a human body with a turtle shell. He was honored as High Emperor Heluo. One was born when Mother Earth experienced the largest mountain in the primordial realm, Mount Meru. His body was as hard as rock. He was honored as High Emperor Jiamo. One was born when Mother Earth experienced Yudu. He had the head of a cow and a human body with 3 eyes. He was honored as High Emperor Yebua. One was born when Mother Earth experienced Xuandu. Her entire body was as white as snow, and her eyes were glowing white, without pupils. She was honored as High Emperor Zuanv. High Emperor Yuanjun was born when Mother Earth experienced the ruins of End. His body was black with spiral markings. Only Mother Earth's eldest daughter, High Emperor Maiying, was created from the Earth Aeon Dao fruit that she bore. Apart from the mentioned High Emperors and the one taken by Feng Qiuyan, the rest were dead and their souls dispersed. There had been rumors that some had been picked up and refined into treasures. Despite having the same mother, due to Mother Earth experiencing different phenomena, they didn't look alike. However, they were all born strong and with divine arts. Their divine arts were related to Mother Earth and the phenomena she experienced. There was no relationship with Heaven Duke and Earth Count. The High Emperor era was a period of chaos, and these High Emperors had cultivated to extreme potency. When they flew up to Celestial Venerable Yu, the heaven palaces behind the 8 High Emperors were in shambles, but were fully unleashed. Using her giant body to distort space, High Emperor Zuanv reached out towards the sky and plucked the sun, moon, and stars. She ripped the core from the sun with tremendous force, transforming it into a soldier, who charged towards Celestial Venerable Yu. Although they were real, the stars in her hands looked like toys. The stars were still burning, with magnetism and starlight bursting. High Emperor Heluo broke a segment of the celestial river, transforming it into a weapon. The immeasurable celestial river looked like a magnificent whip, and also a giant dragon. As High Emperor Yebua waved his hands, the flesh of the surrounding half-gods exploded. He then sucked their blood into his stomach, raising his battle prowess. His horns glowed bright red, like 2 streams of yellow springs descending from the sky. Where his hooves treaded, seas were created. High Emperor Jiamo was like a Buddha sitting in the center of the world, his strong Dharma aura overflowing. He contained both compassion and rage, like a great Buddha who was furious. High Emperor Fengyu flapped her colorful wings, transforming into a blade of light over 10,000 miles long. This was the sharpest blade in the High Emperor era. It was able to cut through everything. Even the strong practitioners found it difficult to face it head-on. High Emperor Longxi was known for his shape-shifting abilities. His body expanded greatly, to a size not far from that of the Celestial Venerable Yu. A heaven appeared behind him, with countless green thunder rumbling. He used thunderbolts as a swords, calling down apocalyptic thunder tribulation. The sea of lightning concentrated onto his palm, forming the sharpest sword in the High Emperor era. A giant swirl appeared above High Emperor Yuanjun, swallowing up everything. During the High Emperor era, he could destroy his enemies' divine arts and armies with this. High Emperor Maiying was like a mini Mother Earth, wielding the strongest power of land of the primordial realm. Her bloodline was the most orthodox, and her understanding of magnetism the purest. With the 8 High Emperors exhibiting their divine arts together, the sky collapsed, and the earth cracked. It was a frightening scene indeed. Celestial Venerable Yu laughed. Ants. His body radiated divine rays of magnetism, as his palm struck High Emperor Maiying. Despite being regarded as the Emperor's throne practitioner with the highest physical power, she was utterly overwhelmed. Her bones shattered as she fell from the sky, hitting the ground. When she was struggling to get up, a gigantic foot appeared and crushed her. Celestial Venerable Yu's other palm struck High Emperor Yebwa with a Yudu divine art, a case of Yudu versus Yudu. High Emperor Yebwa's horns broke as the seas beneath him boiled. Celestial Venerable Yu knocked him down with one palm strike, almost disintegrating his body. I didn't expect Earth Count's runes of the Great Tao to save you. Celestial Venerable Yu laughed heartily, and didn't pursue High Emperor Yebwa. However, as he turned, his hair fluttered, and 1,000 strands of his hair flashed across High Emperor Yebwa like slender swords unopposed. High Emperor Yebwa was dumbfounded, his body sliced into 1,000 neat, equal pieces. From today, the Emperor's throne isn't a peerless realm anymore. Celestial Venerable Yu retracted his hair as his palm struck High Emperor Longxi, breaking the apocalyptic thunder tribulation sword that was rumored to cut through everything. Longxi's head spun off his neck, his eyes blasting huge electrifying thunderbolts in all directions. Celestial Venerable Yu's eyes glowed and shot 2 light rays into Yuanjuan's divine art, the abyss of the ruins of End. The rays penetrated the abyss, and went through Yuanjuan's head. The celestial river whipped in and coiled itself around Celestial Venerable Yu, drawing blood on his body and keeping him in check. Suddenly, the celestial river whip exploded, blasting High Emperor Huluo's hand into a bloody mess. Celestial Venerable Yu gathered and reconstructed the celestial river, striking High Emperor Huluo's body with a jet of celestial water. His body was badly mangled, his flesh was almost ripped from his bones. High Emperor Fengyo's sharpest blade could injure him superficially, but was unable to penetrate his body. High Emperor Zuam's magnetism and starlight battle formation was unable to hold him. Celestial Venerable Yu laughed heartily, knowing he was moments away from defeating the 8 High Emperors. He reached out to grab the primordial tree, which was still growing bigger and taller. The friction between his palms and the air created blazing heavenly fire. Qin Mu continued to circle around the primordial tree, performing his spell to reconstruct Mother Earth's soul. However, he had no way of escaping Celestial Venerable Yu's palm. At that moment, the powers of Heaven Duke and Earth Count suddenly surged, sending a powerful force through the gate of heaven influence, boosting Qin Mu's powers 100 times. This vast and profound power in Qin Mu turned into energy to reconstruct Mother Earth's soul, pouring into the primordial tree. Qin Mu thought, Heaven Duke, Earth Count, can you not bear to sit idle anymore? Celestial Venerable Yu's palm was almost upon him, and was about to grab him together with the primordial tree. Qin Mu, one of the 3 heroes of Eternal Peace's reform. Legend has it that you are an invincible great wizard, able to resurrect people from the dead. Great Wizard Qin Mu, we finally meet. Suddenly, the primordial tree rose straight from the ground, and endless light rays flew alongside its leaves and branches. With a strong sweep, Celestial Venerable Yu was knocked back. Finally, countless roots rose from the earth, following the rising primordial tree. Mother Earth appeared below the primordial tree, rising from the earth. She laughed. Finally, I have seen the day. What you took away from me, you shall return back to me today. The primordial tree seemed like a giant squid flying in the sky, breaking through the primordial realm barrier. Under the control of Mother Earth, it flew towards the horizon. Qin Mu, who was trapped with the tree, was taken along. The speed at which Mother Earth was flying was too much for Qin Mu to bear. The pressure pressed against his body, tearing his skin. Mother Earth, what more can you do? Celestial Venerable Yu's face appeared across the primordial realm's sky. Although he was struck by a fully recovered Mother Earth, he appeared relatively uninjured. He laughed. You were brought back to life only to die again. But this time, you die for good. His body shrunk sharply. Even at its limits, it was still 100 feet tall. Mother Earth quickly followed suit. When facing someone weaker, a big body would create terror. However, when facing someone comparable, a big body would expose weak points. Although she had shrunk to her limits, she was 800 feet tall. Compared to Celestial Venerable Yu, this was unfavorable for her. The primordial tree also shrank, its countless roots retracting quickly, transforming into an enormous entangled ball. As the trunk shrank, Qin Mu's body was crushed. He suddenly felt a flow of energy, which was Qin Fengqing transferring him energy. Qin Mu moved upwards along the trunk, reaching the tree crown. There was a phoenix nest on top of the tree, shining with brilliance. It looked like a safe harbor from the surrounding chaos. Qin Mu immediately took shelter in the nest. Mother Earth, you can't defeat Celestial Venerable How. I will only give you one chance. Qin Mu's undying God consciousness emerged from the nest and entered Mother Earth's ear, saying, I have fought him before. I know what his weaknesses are. At that moment, Mother Earth held up the primordial tree to face Celestial Venerable Yu. As the both of them clashed in the skies, the emitting force was apocalyptic and could shred through the entire face of the world. Mother Earth snorted. For the first time, she experienced the terrifying power of a strong practitioner on the celestial heavens realm. This was a strong practitioner, who was able to mobilize thousands of Tao under the heavens. Although Celestial Venerable Hao's celestial heavens may not be perfect, with him having not yet built the 32 celestial palaces, and the 72 throne halls, his magical powers weren't beneath her. Even more frightening was the completeness of Celestial Venerable Hao's divine arts and great Tao. This was a level that an ancient god like her was unable to attain. Mother Earth and Celestial Venerable Yu clashed again. Her divine art was broken, and she was injured. Celestial Venerable Yu's attacks were ferocious. Even a powerful weapon like the primordial tree was unable to injure him. Instead, she was constantly hurt. She may be strong, but her runes of great Tao had been thoroughly researched by the celestial heavens. The magnetism divine arts exhibited by Celestial Venerable Yu were much stronger than hers. No matter what move she utilized, it was full of flaws. There was no chance of striking Celestial Venerable Yu. This was very terrifying. She had no tricks up her sleeve anymore. Her brainwaves pulsed and communicated with Qin Mu's undying God consciousness. What are his weaknesses? When the undying God consciousness clashed with the vast thoughts, Mother Earth saw a flash, and was transported back to the celestial heavens of the early Dragon Han era. She stood on the jade pool, facing Celestial Venerable Hao. Somehow, she seemed to become a teenager, full of anger, wanting to help the real Celestial Venerable Yu fight for justice. She then seemed to transform into the Celestial Venerable that had been lost in history, Celestial Venerable Mu. Watch for my divine art. Qin Mu said, remember, you only get one chance. Celestial Venerable Yu attacked, his divine art graceful and dazzling beyond description. However, Mother Earth was unable to notice this as her thoughts were merged with Qin Mu's undying God consciousness. With the primordial tree in hand, she did not invoke the powers of magnetism. Instead, she used it as a sword and performed a sword skill. Her sword penetrated Celestial Venerable Yu's seemingly perfect divine art and pierced his chest. Celestial Venerable Yu's expression turned from shock to fear. The branches of the primordial tree pulsed with a mysterious rhythm, tearing into his seemingly perfect body. This was a sword skill, exhibited by every branch and leaf, a skill that would terrify him for ages. Celestial Venerable Mu. He screamed while struggling to rid his bloody body of the primordial tree. It's been a long time since we met. Qin Mu stood in the nest, his clothes fluttering with a divine glow. He smiled. Yes, it's been a long time. Mother Earth didn't give them time to reminisce. She manipulated the primordial tree, turning its roots into a giant hammer to strike the chest of the astonished Celestial Venerable Yu. Celestial Venerable Yu spun wildly and crashed into the barrier of the primordial realm. Like a stone skipping on water, his body bounced off the barrier and fell to the ground. The powerful impact of Celestial Venerable Yu created holes in the primordial realm barrier. These holes represented the wounds of the primordial realm, and would take time to heal. Mother Earth screamed, 2 fingers pointing upright. Multiple roots emerged from the ball of roots of the primordial tree, and burrowed into Celestial Venerable Yu's wounds. As she only had one chance, she definitely wouldn't pass up this opportunity. Now that Celestial Venerable Yu was heavily wounded, it was the best time to finish him off. If she failed, she would die. Boundless magnetism. The roots of the primordial tree pierced through Celestial Venerable Yu's sword wounds, exiting from his back. Magnetism merged with the roots, radiating and glowing. The roots picked Celestial Venerable Yu up, and entangled themselves in the air. They then retracted back into the ball of roots, forming a huge infinity sign. Qin Mu looked at the roots. The runes of magnetism on the roots formed countless light halos as they circled the roots. The roots then retracted back into the ball, together with the runes of magnetism. The powerful force of magnetism took away Celestial Venerable Yu's essence, weakening him. The terrifying divine energies of magnetism crushed the runes of Great Tao in Celestial Venerable Yu's body, causing immeasurable damage to his body and primordial spirit. The previous Celestial Venerable Yus were test subjects, used by the sovereigns of the celestial heavens, and were only cultivated up to the divine bridge realm. This Celestial Venerable Yu was different. The primordial spirit of Celestial Venerable Hao was in him. Mother Earth's divine art and primordial tree were too powerful, causing tremendous damage to his primordial spirit. The divine light of magnetism pulled down pieces of heavens, using them to crush Celestial Venerable Yu's body. Given the pressure, had he been in the Emperor's throne realm, he would have been killed. Celestial Venerable Mu, Mother Earth, you underestimated the power of the celestial heavens realm. Majestic celestial heavens, celestial palaces, and throne halls appeared behind Celestial Venerable Yu, shining brilliantly. With a burst of power, the primordial tree roots and runes of the Great Tao stopped moving. The infinity, created by the roots, loosened into a big circle. The heavens that were crushing him was flung off. Following which, the runes of magnetism rotated, returning him the essence that was taken away by Mother Earth earlier. Mother Earth let out a long scream as multiple roots emerged from the primordial tree ball of roots. The thick, gigantic roots pierced through the celestial heavens, toppling celestial palaces, destroying throne halls. The trunk and the crown were only 1/10 of the primordial tree. The strongest part of Mother Earth was her roots. She flew towards Celestial Venerable Yu, the primordial tree close behind. At the top of the tree, Qin Mu leaped out of the phoenix nest, his body covered by many rotating runes. He transformed into a faint stream of light, and flew towards the closing wounds of the primordial realm barrier. Celestial Venerable Mu, I have waited for you for 1,000,000 years. Celestial Venerable Yu said, neither laughing or crying, 1,000,000 years ago, you had the late mover advantage, and used 1,000,000 years of divine arts against me. That was why I lost to you. 1,000,000 years later, I have the first mover advantage. I have 1,000,000 years of wisdom, and had 1,000,000 years to rebuild the perfect celestial heavens. Qin Mu glanced back, and saw that the 2 frightening divine beings were still fighting. Behind Celestial Venerable Yu, within the majestic celestial heavens, a faceless man stood in one of the throne halls. He looked like the master of the celestial palace, a heavenly emperor. Celestial Venerable Hao has been in the celestial heavens realm for a long time. He must have incredible powers. Qin Mu picked up speed, thinking, he has been injured greatly. If he decides to fight to the death, he could possibly kill Mother Earth. However, he is one who cherishes his life. This had been the same for 100 years, and I don't see that changing. To protect his status in the celestial heavens, he won't allow himself to suffer too much damage. Hence, he will abandon the fight and return back to the celestial heavens. Before he is fully recovered, he won't make any major moves. As the primordial realm barrier healed, Qin Mu disappeared within the primordial realm. The two monstrosities were still fighting in the sky. Their divine arts tore the sky apart, showing the mortal world their frightening figures and leaving them in awe of their strength. Mother Earth's injuries were getting more and more serious, gradually weakening her. Celestial Venerable Mu, what should I do next? Her thoughts pulsed, only for her to realize that Qin Mu wasn't on the tree crown anymore. Mother Earth panicked. Qin Mu's guidance helped her avoid a beating. Now, she was falling behind while Qin Mu had disappeared, leaving her fearful in the face of death. However, Celestial Venerable Hao was more fearful than her. Mother Earth had already lost everything. He had not. He enjoyed a high position within the celestial heavens. If he were to suffer any major damage, other sovereigns would be more than happy to take his place. If he were to fight on, he would face this difficult situation. However, if he didn't finish off Mother Earth, it would be a blow to his prestige. Today, no sovereign descend to the mortal world to help him, not even his follower, Celestial Venerable Hua. The sovereigns have been close friends with him all along, but they are, in fact, waiting for an opening. This spooked Celestial Venerable Hao. At this moment, a face appeared across the sky. It was the other Celestial Venerable Yu. Celestial Venerable Hao's initial happiness turned into surprise. This Celestial Venerable Yu didn't offer to help, but remained as a smiling onlooker. Does your Majesty need help? Celestial Venerable Yu laughed. Upon hearing his voice, Celestial Venerable Hao realized who he was. The primordial realm. Qin Mu landed and saw a scene of devastation. The fleet of ships controlled by the army of the celestial heavens began to eradicate the forces in the primordial realm, flattening the nations built by the half-gods, plundering and killing. The primordial realm was in chaos. Demons and monsters ran amok. The atmosphere was foul as gods and devils battled each other among the clouds. From time to time, heads as big as mountains fell from the sky. Whoosh! An enormous demon flew over his head, trying to flee, but 100 celestial soldiers pursued and killed him. Qin Mu did not have to walk far to see the rivers of blood. Its corpse fell in front of him, like a giant mountain blocking his path. A team of gods of the celestial heavens caught up. Take the corpse, we have use for it. Qin Mu hid in the darkness and watched them take the corpse away, emerging only after they had left. As he walked through his chaotic surroundings, he saw gods pulling up mountains and crushing half-god nations with them. Imperial cities and countless half-god races were flattened into dust. The half-gods of the dragon race were skinned by gods of the celestial heavens and placed on mountains to be burned alive by celestial fire. He wandered around this endless battlefield, experiencing burning and looting all round. The divine kingdom of the Phoenix race had been invaded by the army of the celestial heavens. Many beautiful people of the Phoenix race had been taken as slaves to be raped. He saw a god being hanged in front of a heaven's mountain gate. That particular heaven of the primordial realm had been utterly defeated. Countless half-god slaves had been pierced. They had difficulty moving forward under the orders of the gods. There were flames of battle everywhere in the primordial realm. The army of the celestial heavens used the corpses of gods and devils to build a towering sacrificial altar, and prepared to launch a blood sacrifice. The sky was filled with gleaming blood. There was a constant flow of large ships carrying the army of gods and devils coming through the blood sacrifice into the primordial realm, directing their attack on even larger forces. The sky was filled with ever-increasing ships and gods. What about the ancient celestial emperor? Qin Mu muttered, have you descended? I have given you the opportunity to act. The human race, what is going to happen to the majority of the human race? This battle was spreading. Soon, it would reach eternal peace. Son of Yudu. Suddenly, a celestial god discovered him and unfurled a scroll painting. One will search high and low only to find it when one least expects to. You are the son of Yudu. Qin Mu was indifferent. He transformed into his three-headed and six-armed form, and his body grew bigger. His third head was a big-headed baby. Wherever I am, Yudu exists. The big-headed baby looked confusedly at the scene of devastation. But here is scarier than Yudu. At the southern sea, a star collapsed, dragging a long trail of fire into the sea and causing giant waves. On the surface of the southern sea, within the celestial palace of the remaining survivors of Crimson Light, countless Crimson Light gods were resisting the invading army of the celestial heavens. Kai Shi was leading the resistance, buying time for his people to retreat. His comrades around him dwindled. Eventually, he was the only one fighting ferociously on the god execution stage, and was drowned in the sea of gods and devils. Die together with me. He let loose one last roar. Worship. His chi and blood were devoured by the god execution stage. The god execution stage of this strong emperor's throne practitioner seemed to come alive from a deep slumber, releasing its power. It sucked the chi and blood of many celestial gods. Those who charged at the god execution stage were turned into corpses. Kai Shi ran out of energy, and his eyes started to blur. Crimson Light, Son of God, should have already brought my people to safety. What about my disciple, is he safe? Before he died, he saw Grandmaster hiding himself from place to place like an old rabbit, within the crumbling Crimson Light celestial palace. Kai Shi smiled for the final time. He can run fast indeed. Pangong so made use of the chaos to escape the Crimson Light celestial palace. He was considered the top escapist by Qin Mu. Not 100 gods can stop him. Not even the Jade Pool and Jade Capital realm he encountered on the way were unable to stop him. The sky was dim, and it was impossible to tell whether it was day or night. Flames of battle burned across the sky like a painting on fire. Pangong so escaped under this picture, onto the mainland. Although his body was full of injuries, he managed a smile. There is no one in this world who is able to kill me. No one. Not even Cult Master Qin. He saw that, ahead, there were gods killing. The fleet of eternal peace was carrying countless mortals towards the north, when they were sunk by the divine arts of the gods and devils. None of my business. He planned to circle around and seek safe shelter. At that moment, he was dazed. He was unable to pull his gaze away from the figure fighting the celestial heavens gods. It was First Ancestor Human Emperor. He was fighting against more than 10 god generals so that the divine arts practitioners on the ships could lead the mortals to safety. The flames of battle lit up the faces on the boats. There were faces of frightened women and children. None of my business. I have done nothing good in my life. All these thousands of years, I have only done bad deeds. Pangong so chuckled and walked away. At this moment, the body of First Ancestor Human Emperor fell from the sky and slid 10 miles before stopping at his feet. A Jade Capital Realm god descended from the sky and stabbed First Ancestor's chest with his sword. Pangong so, without thinking, transformed himself into black smoke and carried First Ancestor away. Stop! First Ancestor Human Emperor shook the black smoke off his body. He didn't look at him, but faced the oncoming celestial heavens practitioners. Go, help those people escape. He charged at the celestial gods without looking back. Pangong so was startled. He quietly rose and landed on one of the ships that were heading towards the south at high speed. Behind him danced the shadowy figures of first ancestor human emperor and the celestial gods. The shock wave of their divine arts rippled out, threatening to rip the boats apart. "This is His Majesty's ship. Please get off." Pan Gong Tso looked at the despairing divine arts practitioners and laughed. "I have spent my whole life escaping. I can guarantee you will escape alive." The ship landed and people were getting off. "Things will get better when we arrive at Li River Academy." Pan Gong Tso led them forward while consoling everyone. "When we reach Li River Academy, Eternal Peace Imperial Preceptor will build a teleporter, which will take us to the capital city." The people moved in the darkness, not knowing where they were. Along the way, the group grew as more refugees joined them. Pan Gong Tso became their leader. The sun and stars had disappeared from the sky. He was the only one who was able to navigate in the darkness. Pan Gong Tso led them for 10 days. More and more people got left behind from exhaustion. "There used to be a period of time where I could have been the human emperor," Pan Gong Tso said to these divine arts practitioners. "That was around the end of the High Emperor era. I took the remaining survivors of the High Emperor era and escaped in the darkness. I almost became the High Emperor era's first ancestor human emperor," he chuckled. Today, Li River Academy would be within sight. However, the refugees despaired upon seeing a celestial heavens ship descending from the sky. At the bow of the ship were rock-looking faces. "Grandmaster." The divine arts practitioners tried to look for Pan Gong Tso, but he was nowhere in sight. The people were desperate. In the darkness, Pan Gong Tso looked back and saw the celestial gods getting off the ship, walking towards the people whom he once protected. "I have escaped all my life and won't fail here. I have killed countless and have never done a good deed." Pan Gong Tso panted and laughed. "No one is able to take me down, not even Cult Master Qin. Hee hee, hee hee." His panting got heavier as he dragged his heavy feet out of the darkness. He walked towards the gods of the celestial heavens. "I could have become the human emperor, the first ancestor human emperor. No one can finish me off. Come." He charged into the celestial gods and laughed. "Come. I have been running all my life." Those celestial gods looked at him coldly. He turned and told the Eternal Peace divine arts practitioners, "Take the people and leave. Beyond this mountain, you will see the Li River Academy. I can handle this." The divine arts practitioners took the people and left hastily. After some time, a blood-drenched first ancestor human emperor arrived and found Pan Gong Tso's corpse on the devastated battlefield. First ancestor human emperor closed Pan Gong Tso's eyes, giving him peace. "At that time, I was just an escaping soldier. I never expected myself to become the human emperor." He continued forward and caught up with the refugees. Li River Academy was in sight. "Hi, old nemesis." At the source of the surging river, a group of ghosts made up of handsome men and pretty girls were floating about, leading the tens of thousands of residents of the great ruins to the river bank. There, they bumped into another group of men and women who were also taking the migrants to the river bank. Amongst the group of handsome men and pretty women ghosts were several old men and old women. Upon seeing the youths in front of them, who were of varying heights, sizes, and appearances, the ghosts couldn't help but beam with joy. They all started to tease them, laughing and saying, "The D*MN old ghosts of the Hall of Human Emperors are out here looking all decent like today." These youths with unique appearances were the past generations of human emperors of the Hall of Human Emperors. Qi Kang, Yi Shan, second ancestor, third ancestor, and the others had entered the depths of the great ruins when the massive celestial venerable Yu and the gods of the celestial heavens descended. They had gone to search for the residents of the great ruins to escort them from the surging river to eternal peace. When they arrived here, they happened to bump into the ghosts of the past generations of heavenly devil cult masters. These ghosts were also escorting the residents of the great ruins to eternal peace to seek refuge. Yi Shan was short, small, and fat, and he placed both hands on his hips and sneered. "We are D*MN old ghosts. We're all living well now. It's you heavenly devil cult fellows that are the D*MN old ghosts. None of you even have your corporeal bodies. So what are you all doing wandering about like this? Leave these people to us. You all better hurry back to Fengdu to save your own lives." Qi Kang laughed coldly. "Without your corporeal bodies, you might just die without even knowing how it happened." Pa. Children's words carry no harm. Go knock on wood, knock on wood. The cult masters of the heavenly devil cult all burst out laughing. "Silly brats of the Hall of Human Emperors, us dead people are very magnanimous and wouldn't stoop to your level. Smelling the sour and foul stench of you living fellows makes us nauseous." The Hall of Human Emperors and heavenly devil cult bickered with each other, each side spitting at the other relentlessly. They were originally the overlords of Fengdu, and had always fought with each other. Even when they were still alive, they had already found each other to be nuisances. Only when the human emperor took out the human emperor's seal would the cult masters of the heavenly devil cult become less riotous. But when the human emperor's seal wasn't used, they would fight and bicker with each other. Young Patriarch hurriedly stopped them, saying, "Everyone is here to help the residents of the great ruins. Stop bickering so much. There are battles everywhere now in the primordial realm, so it's more important for us to escort these mortals to safety." Fifth ancestor sneered. "When you are all dead ghosts. How will you all be able to transport so many people?" The spirits of the heavenly devil cult masters all started to laugh, and each of them executed techniques, replying in unison, "We have the 5 demons transferring technique, teleportation formations, and techniques to move on land, flee on water, and even move mountains. With the past generations of cult masters working together, we could transport millions of people, much less tens of thousands of people. You fellows of the Hall of Human Emperors are stupid, fat, and dark, and the techniques of the Hall of Human Emperors are also stupid, fat, and dark. What kind of abilities can you all have?" The many human emperors laughed, each executing their own divine arts. One took out a single leaf and blew on it, transforming it into a green ship that was hundreds of yards long. Another shook his body and transformed into a long dragon, while yet another grew clouds at his feet, allowing the mortals to stand on top of them. The various divine arts executed made everyone's eyes dazzle. The heavenly devil cult masters looked at each other incredulously. These stupid, fat, and dark fellows relived another life, and their divine arts actually became even more intricate. They transported the residents of the great ruins, traveling along the river. Along the way, the two parties continued to spit at each other, bickering non-stop. The young patriarch wasn't able to do anything and could only let them be. Along the way, when they bumped into the gods and devils of the celestial heavens, the human emperors and the heavenly devil cult masters ceased their bickering. If they outnumbered the enemy, they would attack them together, the human emperors going against them head-on while the cult masters used dirty tricks. If they were outnumbered by the enemy, they would execute the teleportation divine art and transport the residents of the great ruins to safety. The journey so far was quite safe. It was just that the primordial spirits of the heavenly devil cult masters were growing duller and duller. "You all have left Fengdu for too long." Human Emperor Qi Kang continued, "Patriarch Wen Yuan, you should all return. If you continue to drag this out, your souls will disintegrate." Young Patriarch shook his head, and before he could even say anything, Zhu Yang, Yu Lian, Sai Yuan Wei, and the other cult masters all started to chide him noisily, making Human Emperor Qi Kang feel dizzy from all the noise. Suddenly, corpses of divine dragons and gods and devils floated about the surface of the river. The dragon palace at the bottom of the river was shattered. Evidently, the great army of the celestial heavens had come to attack the surging river dragon palace. Those gods and devils should be the celestial troops and generals who had died in the battle. There was still some divine fire burning on the surface of the river, and it couldn't even be extinguished by the river water. There were damaged ships at the shores as well. The celestial troops and generals probably clashed with the strong beings of the dragon race, and there were great casualties there too. The cult masters of the heavenly devil cult possessed the corpses of these celestial troops and generals. They danced about and had all sorts of strange forms. Following that, they surrounded a large celestial heavens ship and started to do carpentry noisily. They were deft and actually managed to repair the celestial heavens ship very quickly while the human emperors looked on with shock. The heavenly devil cult masters stood at the head of the ship and executed their techniques, transporting the people onto the ship. "You're all blessed." They beamed. "We are the great army of the celestial heavens, and you are all our prisoners. We are escorting you all." The ship took flight, traveling east, the flag of the celestial heavens army flying high. Along the way, they saw more and more celestial heavens battleships tunneling out of the void from within the blood rays that were released from the countless sacrificial offerings of flesh and blood. The sights only made their hearts grow heavier. They met a group that was migrating, and the ones who were escorting the mortals were divine arts practitioners from the Heavenly Saint Academy. A scholar from the Heavenly Saint Academy told them, "We were only able to make it here alive with the help of a spirit named Ling Jing." "Where is Daoist Ling Jing?" The scholars were silent. They carried these refugees on board and continued on their journey. Along the way, they came across a young Daoist who was leading people from the great ruins, and they were moving with great difficulty. The young Daoist was Tao Master Lin Xian. Stinky Taoists, they are even more nausea-inducing than the stupid, fat, and dark human emperors. The heavenly devil cult masters viewed the Tao master of the Tao sect with contempt, but they still allowed Tao Master Lin Xian to lead the refugees on board the ship. "You can send these people to the peach forest of my Tao sect academy." Tao Master Lin Xian removed his Tao crown from his head, and it was full of blood. He then continued, "Within the peach forest is Celestial Venerable Yu. Although she doesn't get involved in worldly affairs, the peach forest can protect their safety. You can also send them to Clear Sky Heaven. Clear Sky Heaven is a branch of the Celestial Heavens Tao sect, and it's still quite safe there. I have already ordered the disciples of the Tao sect to head to Clear Sky Heaven, and have told them to escort the people near the surging river to Clear Sky Heaven to hide from the disaster of war. There are 24 kingdoms of gods in Clear Sky Heaven, which should ensure their safety. This Daoist isn't that bad." Cult Master Sai Yuanwei admired him greatly, and she smiled. "As the Tao Master, your willingness to sacrifice your life by coming out here shows that you have a good conscience. Did you come out alone?" "There were two of us." Tao Master Lin Xian continued, "There is still Daoist Cha. Where is he?" Tao Master Lin Xian pressed his lips together. "He stayed behind to destroy the path, and said that he would catch up with us when we made it further out. He also said that if he didn't manage to catch up with us after 2 hours, that we didn't have to wait for him." "When did this occur?" 6 days ago." Tao Master Lin Xian put on his Tao crown and continued blankly, "He probably took a different route and missed me. I didn't continue to wait for him. Or perhaps he has already reached the peach forest. He runs very fast." The group didn't inquire further. They continued to move forward, and the people within the ship grew in numbers until it was almost full. Although the Celestial Heavens ship was enormous, it wasn't possible for it to contain every single one of the refugees. Suddenly, the ship started slowing down. Human Emperor Qikeng walked to the head of the ship and asked, "What happened?" Cult Master Yang Ji's hand trembled slightly as he pointed to the front. There, Dozens of ships spanning several miles in length were stopped mid-air, and on the ships, there were thousands of gods from the celestial heavens who were currently taking breaks. A god flew towards them and shouted out from afar, "Who do you serve under?" Everyone on the ship was instantly at a loss and didn't know what to do. The god flew closer and shouted out again, "Who is your chief general? What should we do?" Human Emperor Yi Shan croaked out in a hoarse voice, "Shall we just fight it out?" At this very moment, suddenly, the sound of a bugle horn resonated from the ships, and a golden armored god shouted out loudly, "The tracks of the son of Yudu have been found. White deity has mobilized us to go and subdue him. Follow me." The god that was closing in on them hesitated for a moment, before he immediately returned to one of the ships. The enormous ships broke through the air one after the other and left. Everyone on the ship broke out in a cold sweat. Who is the son of Yudu? Such a grand lineup, and it actually required the celestial heavens' white deity to mobilize the army of the celestial heavens to go forth and kill him. Second ancestor mumbled. "It's cult master Qin. Tao Master Lin Xian continued, "When I was at Supreme Emperor Heaven, I heard people addressing him as son of Yudu." The many heavenly devil cult masters laughed. As expected of the current generation cult master of our sacred cult, his reputation is truly impressive. The past generations of human emperors also broke out into laughter. What has this got to do with your heavenly devil cult? He is clearly the current generation human emperor of our Hall of Human Emperors. They started to bicker again, and Tao Master Lin Xian hurried them. "The peach forest is just up ahead. Let's hurry up and go over." He mumbled to himself, "Maybe Daoist Cha has already arrived at the peach forest and is waiting for me there." The group was a little perplexed. There seemed to be something off about the state of mind of this Tao Master. Young Patriarch stepped forward. Reaching out, he removed Tao Master Lin Xian's Tao crown. A broken sword was stabbed into Lin Xian's hair bun, and it pierced deeply into his brain. Blood flowed out of the Tao crown again. Young Patriarch stopped the other cult masters, putting the Tao crown back onto Lin Xian's head properly. "Don't remove it. If you remove it, he will die. If it stays there, he can still be saved if we find someone skilled in the art of healing." The ship continued along towards the peach forest. The 1,000 miles of peach blossoms were very eye-catching. When they arrived at the now empty Dao Sect Academy, Lin Xian went to search for Daoist Cha, but he didn't find him. They let the people of the Great Ruins walk down from the ship and enter the peach forest. The skies were dim at present. Suddenly, a light came from within the peach forest. The refugees followed the light and moved forwards, disappearing in the depths of the peach forest. Eternal Peace's Jade Face Poison King is skilled in the art of healing. I will take him to the Jade Face Poison King. Human Emperor Qi Keng carried Lin Xian on his back and said, "Everyone, take care." Everyone bowed. "Take care." Human Emperor Qi Keng sprinted as though he was flying, frantically racing all the way, and only reaching the surging river after 6 to 7 days. After he arrived, he stepped along the waves of the river to continue down it. In the skies, countless enormous ships flew by, and suddenly, a few of the ships stopped in mid-air. Human Emperor Qi Keng hurriedly hid in a dark corner. He saw the ships lowering countless chains, and following it, an enormous cage was hung out from between the ships, the chains rattling about noisily. "My name is Wei Suifeng. My name is Wei Suifeng." Within the cage, an imposing god had his body locked in place by chains, which penetrated his corporeal body, his primordial spirit, all of his divine treasures, and even his celestial palaces. "Shut up." A formidable godly awe came from one of the ships, and a voice that was filled with an imposing aura said coldly, "Wei Suifeng, you made contact with Celestial Venerable Ling before, and you even have possession of her hairpin. You have been holding on to the hairpin for so long, researching Celestial Venerable Ling's divine art. Your body and primordial spirit must have experienced some sort of change. Using you to trade for the ghost ship, there are no losses in this deal, right? Human Emperor Qi Kang hid in the darkness, and he watched as the figure within the cage shouted out, "My name is Wei Suifeng." Human Emperor Qi Kang was taken aback. This fellow called Wei Suifeng, he seems to be yelling at me to tell me that his name is Wei Suifeng. What could this mean? At this very moment, he saw that beneath the surging river under his feet, there was an enormous ship sailing by slowly. "My name is Wei Suifeng," the madman in the cage shouted at him. Part 357 and 358 end here. Thank you for watching.